New nutritional insights. Could these common table vegetables pose health risks to the elderly? Beware of the age adaptability of 7 types of vegetables. Have you ever considered that those green vegetables that have accompanied you for half of your life might quietly change their roles as the years go by? When the clock of life passes the mark of 60 years old, the phytochemicals in plants that once contributed to good health may now be potential sources of risk, threatening the body's balance. The latest nutritional research reveals that the age-related changes in the human metabolic system necessitate the periodic adjustment of the intake of certain vegetables. This article will focus on 7 common vegetables, some of which might be stored in your refrigerator right now. Deeply analyze their specific risk mechanisms for the middle-aged and elderly population, and provide scientific alternative solutions. An interactive section is set at the end of the article. You are welcome to leave your questions about ingredients in the discussion area. The first object of analysis: spinach. A representative of leafy vegetables. Reconstruction of the nutritional profile. As a benchmark ingredient of plant-based nutrition, spinach has always been known as a nutritional goldmine. It is rich in a complex of vitamins A, lutein, and iron elements, and performs excellently in enhancing the immune barrier function, maintaining visual health, and promoting hemoglobin synthesis. The popular animated character Popeye from the last century has made the perception of it as an energetic vegetable deeply rooted in people's hearts. Risk warnings for the elderly. 1. The crisis of oxalate metabolism. This organic compound, which naturally exists in many plants, is abnormally concentrated in spinach. As the body's metabolic function declines with age, excessive intake will pose to major health threats. The risk of urinary system crystallization for those with chronic kidney disease or a decreased glomerular filtration rate. Raw spinach that has not been blanched may act as a catalyst for the formation of kidney stones. The effect of calcium antagonism, the insoluble complex formed by the combination of oxalate ions and free calcium, will exacerbate the calcium absorption disorder in the elderly population and significantly accelerate the development of osteoporosis. 2. Interference with vitamin K metabolism. Although this vitamin plays a crucial role in the blood coagulation mechanism and bone metabolism, its biochemical antagonistic effect with anticoagulant drugs such as warfarin cannot be ignored. If patients with cardiovascular diseases do not regularly monitor their spinach intake, it may lead to abnormal fluctuations in proformin time, posing a potential risk to the safety of medication. Dietary optimization plan. Pretreatment process. Blanching and boiling water for more than 30 seconds can remove 60-70 of the oxalate contents. Compatibility for synergistic enhancements. Pair with deep-sea fish rich in vitamin E to promote the bioavalanche of calcium. Alternative choices: low oxalate and high calcium leafy vegetables such as kale and watercress. If you find that there are any of the potentially hazardous ingredients mentioned in the article in your daily diet, you are welcome to send confirm in the message area to participate in health risk assessments. Click to subscribe to get the full version of the Dietary Traffic Light Guide for the elderly and master the time and space code of scientific eating. Remember, protecting health requires not only nutritional knowledge but also dietary wisdom that keeps up with the times. The following is a pseudo-original creation that strictly follows the original structure and professional terms. Dietary risk warning: scientific intake guidelines for 2 common types of vegetables in the middle-aged and elderly population. Clinical nutrition experts and dietary research institutions have jointly issued the latest dietary advice for the elderly population, clearly warning that the intake methods of certain vegetables need to be adjusted according to age adaptability. This article will deeply analyze the potential risk mechanisms of 2 common types of vegetables and provide clinically verified improvement plans. The first type of risky ingredients: the optimization treatment plan for spinach. A consensus statement in the medical community. For middle-aged and elderly people with chronic kidney disease, decreased bone density, or those undergoing anticoagulant treatments, there is a clear taboo on eating raw spinach. A number of evidence-based studies have confirmed that there is a significant correlation between the excessive accumulation of oxalate and the crystallization of calcium salts in the urinary system, which requires individuals to adjust their eating strategies according to their metabolic functions. Risk avoidance strategies. 1. Thermal processing. Blanching and boiling water or frying quickly over high heat can degrade more than 60 of the oxalate, effectively reducing the risk of crystallization in the renal tubulus. 2. Nutritional synergistic enhancements, combined with sources of fat-soluble vitamin E such as rainbow trout and fortified dairy products to increase the bioavalanche of calcium by 40. 3. Metabolic monitoring mechanism. Establish a dietary log to record the intake of spinach, and cooperate with quarterly bone density tests and coagulation function screenings. An important reminder, however, this does not mean that the ingredient needs to be completely eliminated. The key is to establish a scientific intake pattern. For example, changing the daily intake of 200 g of raw spinach to 100 g of cooked spinach 3 times a week can not only retain its rich folic acid and iron elements, but also effectively avoid the metabolic burden. The second type of risky ingredients, the microbial contamination crisis of bean sprouts. Analysis of the microbiological risk. Although bean sprouts are rich in digestive enzymes and plant bioactive substances, the cultivation environment, constant temperature of 28 C and humidity of 85 is extremely likely to become a medium for Salmonella A, coli. FDA statistical data shows that in the past 5 years, 32 foodborne disease outbreaks have been related to eating raw bean sprouts. Special risks for the elderly population. 1. Decline of the immune defense mechanism. The response efficiency of intestinal lymphoid tissues is reduced by 60, making it difficult to effectively eliminate invading pathogens. 2. The risk of complications transformation. The probability of sepsis in patients with basic metabolic diseases is 7.2 times higher than that of the younger population. 3. The cognitive misconception of the limitation of washing. Even if ozonation purification treatment is used, it is still impossible to completely remove the colonization of bacteria inside the germ. Safe intake plan. 1. Thorough thermal processing. Heat continuously at 100 C for more than 3 minutes to destroy the structure of the bacterial biofilm. 2. Alternative choices. Switch to low-risk sprouts such as pea sprouts and broccoli sprouts. 3. Purchase traceability mechanism. Choose industrial products with HACCP certification. A special warning, there are still a 15 contamination-rated pathogenic bacteria and propagated bean sprouts sold on the market. It is recommended that high-risk groups establish a dual protection mechanism of sufficient heating bacterial detection. When cooking, you can observe the morphological changes of the sprouts. They should completely lose their brittleness and appear translucent to meet the sterilization standard. A dietary optimization suggestion system. Establish a 3-stage protection model. Pre-treatment stage. Implement a standardized cleaning process for high-risk vegetables. Cooking stage. Use the technology of balancing thermal sterilization and nutrient retention. Monitoring stage. Regularly conduct intestinal flora analysis and metabolic function evaluation. The nutrition community calls for the middle-aged and elderly population should receive a personalized dietary risk assessment every 6 months, and formulate a dynamic vegetable intake plan in combination with the detection of intestinal absorption rate and the analysis of drug-nutrient interactions. Remember, the core of intelligent eating lies in precise adaptation, rather than simple selection or rejection. The following is a pseudo-original creation that strictly follows the original structure and professional requirements. Analysis of dietary risks, the age adaptability issues of corn intake in the elderly and scientific coping strategies. As a cereal crop widely consumed around the world, corn is loved by people of all ages for its unique flavor and rich dietary fiber. However, for the elderly population with degenerated metabolic functions, this traditional ingredient harbors a double health threat. This article will deeply analyze its risk mechanism and provide clinically verified improvement plans. Risk Dimension 1. Digestive tract adaptation disorder. The fiber matrix of corn has a unique anti-enzymatic hydrolysis property, and its complex structure of hemicelluloles and lignin poses a severe challenge to the digestive system of the elderly. After being consumed by those with weak and gastrointestinal motility, it is likely to cause the following symptoms. Mechanical digestion disorder. Approximately 65 of the epidermal fibers of corn remain in their complete form throughout the digestive tracts. Abnormal microbial fermentation. Excessive decomposition by the colon flora produces an excessive amount of methane and hydrogen, leading to abdominal distension. Imbalance of intestinal pressure. The risk of symptom exacerbation in patients with irritable bowel syndrome increases by 2.3 times. Clinical observations show that the detection rate of undigested corn granules in the excreta of people over 60 years old reaches 78, indicating that the secretion of digestive enzymes is no longer sufficient to effectively decompose the complex polysaccharides in corn. Risk dimension 2, disturbance of sugar metabolism. The glycemic index GI value of corn is 50 to 55, belonging to the category of medium to high glycemic foods. The hydrolysis rate of its amyloponic structure in the intestine is 40 faster than that of conventional carbohydrates, resulting in the peak of postprandial blood sugar appears 30-45 minutes earlier. The insulin secretion load increases by 25. The fluctuation range of glycate and hemoglobin in prediabetic patients expands by 0.5. A special warning, the content of amylose in waxy corn varieties is less than 1, and its GI value can reach more than 70, which is equivalent to the metabolic impact of refined rice. Improved intake plan. 1. Physical from improvements. Choose crushed corn instead of whole grains. Increase the contact area of amylose through mechanical wall breaking. Fermentation treatment. Making homemade corn-starch mash can increase the cellulose degradation rate to 35. 2. Compatibility for synergistic enhancement. Hair with cinnamon powder, the methylhydroxychalcone polymer contained in it, can enhance insulin sensitivity. Combined with flaxseed S, the water-soluble dietary fiber forms a gel matrix to delay the absorption of sugar. 3. Time period control. Avoid evening intake, overlapping with the peak period of circadian insulin resistance. Apply the meal division system. Control the single intake within 50 g. Recommended alternative staple foods. Hummus. It has the characteristics of a low GI 28 and high protein 19g 100g. Quinoa rice, a source of complete protein, rich in digestive aid enzymes. Taro products, the resistant starch content reaches 60, and it has a significant prebiotic effects. Nutritional monitoring suggestions. Establish a corn intake metabolic feedback recording system, focusing on monitoring the fluctuation value of blood sugar to hours after a meal, the characteristics of defecation and digestive residues, the change rate of the waist circumference. An important reminder, the intake of corn products should not exceed 3 times a week. It is preferred to choose non-GMO old varieties, whose amylose content is 15-20 higher than that of hybrid varieties, which is more conducive to stable blood sugar. The essence of dietary optimization lies in establishing an individualized adaptation mechanism. It is recommended to conduct the following every quarter: assessment of oral chewing function, detection of pancreatic amylose activity, needed genomic analysis of the intestinal flora. As a creator in the health field, I will professionally rewrite the original contents, while retaining the core information and framework. I will complete the following creation through the replacement of scientific terms and the innovation of expression methods. Cereal crops, metabolic balance strategies for corn. The dietary fiber in whole corn kernels indeed has the physiological function of delaying the metabolism of sugar substances. However, it should be clear that it belongs to the category of complex carbohydrate foods. When the intake exceeds the body's metabolic capacity, it may still cause blood sugar fluctuations. It is particularly important to note that during the industrial processing of deeply processed corn-derived products, including but not limited to high fructose corn syrup, puffed corn chips, and refined cornstarch, a large amount of natural fiber components and micronutrients are lost, leading to a significant increase in the glycemic index. Deep processed snacks represented by butter-flavored popcorn, if consumed for a long time, may lead to the activation of chronic inflammatory factors and lipid metabolism disorders. Dietary recommendations for the elderly. 1. Compatibility principle. It is recommended to form a nutritional combination with high-quality animal proteins such as roasted poultry or plant proteins such as legumes and soy products. The synergistic effect of protein and carbohydrates can allay the rate of gastric emptying. At the same time, combine with high-fiber vegetables such as brassica plants and bell peppers to build a dietary fiber matrix to promote the stability of the gut microbiota. 2. Cooking optimization. Priority should be given to physical processing methods such as steaming over water or baking over charcoal, compared with high-temperature treatments such as frying. This can maximize the retention of heat-sensitive nutrients such as zeaxanthin. Steaming can moderately gelatinize the amyloponic and improve digestion and utilization. The baking process enhances the generation of flavor substances through the Maillard reaction and avoids the addition of exogenous lipids. 3. Risk control. Strictly limit the intake of deeply processed corn products. It is recommended to choose whole grain forms, with the intake frequency controlled at 3-4 times a week and the single serving amount not exceeding 150 g fresh weight. Cruciferous plants. The dual regulation mechanism of kale. This brassica plant is classified as a functional food due to nutritional density. It is rich in phytochemicals such as a complex of vitamins A and glucosinolates. The synergistic effect of its insoluble dietary fiber and antioxidant components is of significant benefits in the management of oxidative stress and the maintenance of intestinal motility in the elderly. However, special attention should be paid to the possible metabolic regulation effects of its bioactive substances. Thyroid health warnings. Thyroid interfering factors such as thiocyanates may competitively inhibit thiazide absorption and affect the activity of thyroid peroxidase. For the elderly with a history of hypothyroidism, it is recommended to control the raw food intake within 30 g per day, or use blanching treatment 90 for 2 minutes to degrade more than 50 of goitroglycine factors. Considerations for kidney metabolism. The characteristic of high potassium content for 191 mg of potassium per 100 g may pose pressure on electrolyte balance for elderly patients with a decreased glomerular filtration rate. It is recommended to be combined with low-potassium vegetables such as cabbages and use the segmented intake method, single serving 50 g instead of concentrated consumption. Nutritional enhancement plan. For the elderly with metabolic risks, the following improved consumption strategies are recommended. 1. Fermentation treatment. Reduce the phytic acid content through lactic acid bacteria by trifastramony and increase the bioavailability of isothiocyanates tests. 2. Trace element fortification. Combine with iodine-rich ingredients such as kelpin labor to build a nutrient complementary system. 3. Chronomedicine application. Choose the time period of low thyroid hormone secretion 1517-0 for intake and avoid the peak period of morning meditation. Analysis of nutritional risks of herbs and dietary improvement strategies. Cruciferous plants. Mineral metabolism regulation of kale. This plant requires special attention to its characteristic of high oxalate concentration, which may increase the risk of urinary system crystal formation. As an oxalate-rich plant similar to spinach, the dicarboxylic acid substances it contains have the chemical property of chelate with calcium ions. For the elderly with a physiological decline in glomerular filtration rate, excessive intake may exacerbate urinary crystal deposition, especially for individuals with a previous history of kidney stones or chronic kidney disease. CKD. Risk control plan. 1. Double processing technology. Using red heat treatment, blanching and boiling water 2 minutes can make the water-soluble oxalate loss rate reach 40-60. 2. Compatibility optimization. Consumed simultaneously with calcium-rich ingredients such as dairy products and dry bean curd to promote the premature binding of calcium oxalate in the digestive tracts. 3. Control of intake frequency. It is recommended to consume no more than 4 times a week, with a single raw food amount limited to within 50 g. Recommended improved recipes. Plant protein composite soup. Combine kale with chickpeas and pumpkins for stewing. Decompose anti-nutritional factors by extending the thermal processing time 30 minutes. Mediterranean-style stir-fry. Stir-fry with virgin olive oil and garlic slices for 2 minutes at high temperature until the leaves shrink, retaining chlorophyll and reducing the oxalate concentration. Asparagus plants. The metabolic regulation mechanism of asparagus. This plant-based ingredient rich in sulfur-containing amino acids has multiple nutritional advantages. Its vitamin complex including red in all equivalents, tocopherol, and phyllocumin and glutathione precursor substances are of significant value for the protection against oxidative stress in the elderly. As an important source of dietary fiber, it's a 0.1 g per 100 g and trace elements, especially potassium content reaching 220 100 g. It has a regulatory effect on the cardiovascular system and nerve conduction function. However, the following metabolic characteristics should be noted. Uric acid metabolism warnings. The pyrimidine nucleotide can reach 150 mg 100 g and can be converted into uric acid crystals through the catalysis of aminoxidase. It is recommended that patients in the remission period of gout use a segmented consumption method, single serving 80 g, and consume an adequate amount of water, 200 ml. Strategies for water electrolyte balance. The metabolites of asparagine may have a diuretic effect. It is recommended that the elderly supplement electrolyte drinks, such as natural coconut water containing potassium and magnesium. Perform longitudinal before cooking to promote the precipitation of sulfur-containing compounds and reduce the metabolic burden on the kidneys. Dietary improvement plan. 1. Low-temperature slow cooking method. Treat in a 60 constant temperature water bath for 20 minutes to retain a crispy and tender taste while reducing protein loss. 2. Acid-base balance compatibility. Combine with alkaline ingredients such as seaweed sprouts and bananas to make a salad, and adjust the urine pH value to the range of 6 to 6. B. 3. Fermentation treatments. Make pickles by inoculating lactic acid bacteria to reduce the purine content by 30-40 through microbial transformation. Analysis of risks of fungal ingredients and safe intake guidelines. Agaricase A plants. The potential biological toxicity and metabolic risks of mushrooms. This fungal ingredient rich in glutamate salts has a unique flavor and nutritional advantages, but it also harbors multiple health hazards. Its rich B group coenzymes and rare mineral elements, such as selenium compounds, have a regulatory effect on nerve conduction and the redox system. However, the following biosafety characteristics should be noted. Chapter 7. Mushrooms, digestive hidden dangers and medication taboos. Mushrooms, as an ingredient, may pose potential health risks, which require special attention from the elderly. Mushrooms that are not fully cooked are difficult to be effectively decomposed by the human body, and are likely to cause abdominal discomfort or gastrointestinal distress. The elderly, especially those with degenerated digestive functions, need to be more vigilant. Completely cooking mushrooms through methods such as frying, baking, or boiling can not only eliminate possible harmful components but also bring out the unique umami flavor of mushrooms, and is more conducive to the bioavailability of nutrients. The medication safety risks worthy of attention mainly involve two types of drugs: blood-thinning drugs and antihypertensive agents. Specific mushroom species, such as Ganoderm lucidum, Ramaria bigritis, and concentrated mushroom products, may contain natural anticoagulant components. For the elderly who have been taking cumana-based anticoagulants or antihypertensive drugs for a long time, excessive intake of mushroom products, especially in purified and concentrated forms, may cause abnormal blood coagulation function, induce abnormal bleeding tendencies, or trigger sudden hypertension. It is recommended that elderly consumers must obtain professional medical advice on medication before incorporating mushroom nutritional products into their dietary plans. To ensure food safety, it is recommended to give priority to purchasing common edible mushrooms through regular channels and strictly implement the principle of thorough heating. Through thermal processing methods such as quick frying, roasting, or boiling, alkaloid substances can be effectively inactivated, significantly improving the digestibility of mushroom foods and making them a safe source of nutrition suitable for the elderly. It is necessary to avoid the eating habit of raw mushrooms and be more cautious about concentrated mushroom products, as they may cause drug synergy or unforeseen physiological reactions. By following scientific eating methods, the elderly can not only enjoy the unique flavor of mushrooms but also avoid health risks and give full play to their nutritional advantages. The key lies in choosing mushroom varieties with safety certifications, using the correct cooking methods, and rationally using mushroom products through professional medical consultations. Chapter 8. Tubers, blood sugar fluctuations and metabolic burden. Potatoes, as the root and tuber crop with the largest global consumption, are loved by people of all ages due to their rich cooking possibilities and satiety. Whether made into smooth mashed potatoes, baked into golden stand roasted potatoes, or stewed as a side dish, this affordable and storable ingredient always occupies an important position on the traditional table. Its nutritional composition includes beneficial components such as vitamin C, potassium, and dietary fiber, which play a positive role in enhancing immune function, maintaining the cardiovascular system, and promoting intestinal health. However, it should be noted that this common ingredient may have a negative impact on blood sugar regulation and the metabolic system, especially for the elderly with blood sugar abnormalities or cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases. The high glycemic index GI value of potatoes means that it will cause a rapid rise in blood sugar after ingestion, which poses a significant risk to elderly patients with glucose metabolism disorders including prediabetes, diagnosed diabetes, or reduced insulin sensitivity. As a typical high-starch vegetable, its carbohydrates are easily converted into glucose, causing severe blood sugar fluctuations. When potatoes are processed by high-temperature frying or deep processing such as made into French fries, potato chips, or instant potato powder products, their health risks increase exponentially. Such processed foods usually contain trans fatty acids, excessive sodium ions, and chemical additives, which may cause abnormal body fat accumulation, chronic inflammatory reactions, and heart function damage. It is recommended that the elderly choose low-temperature cooking methods such as steaming and baking. Control the single-time intake within 150 grams, and eat them together with high-quality protein and dietary fiber to slow down blood sugar fluctuations. Chapter 9: Tuber Ingredients. Hidden dangers of high-temperature cooking and dietary optimization. It is worth noting that potato-based foods may produce acrylamide compounds under specific processing conditions. This potential carcinogen is mainly formed during high-temperature thermal processing, especially in frying scenarios where the oil temperature exceeds 180 C or continuous high-temperature baking. Scientific research data confirm that long-term intake of foods containing acrylamide may increase the incidence of cardiovascular system diseases and certain malignant tumors. This hidden danger is particularly significant for the elderly with natural degradation of cardiovascular function, making deep-processed potato products such as fried French fries and roasted potato wedges a food category that needs to be strictly controlled. It should be emphasized that as long as scientific eating methods are mastered, potato-based foods can still be a good choice for the elderly diet. The core lies in adapting low-temperature cooking strategies and balanced nutrition. It is recommended to choose gentle processing methods such as steaming with water vapor, simmering over water, or low-temperature baking, which can effectively avoid the generation of harmful substances and reduce the amplitude of post-meal blood sugar fluctuations. For example, steaming peeled potatoes cut into pieces as a side dish not only retains the dietary fiber in the skin but also reduces oil intake. In terms of meal matching strategies, it is recommended to combine root and tuber staple foods with high-quality protein sources, such as lean poultry, deep-sea fish, or plant-based protein products such as hummus, and at the same time increase the intake of seasonal vegetables rich in water-soluble dietary fiber, such as kale and okra. This combination can effectively slow down the decomposition rate of carbohydrates, maintain a stable blood sugar curve, and extend the duration of satiety. It should be specifically pointed out that choosing colored potatoes such as purple potatoes and yellow potatoes to replace traditional brown-skinned potatoes, the anthocyanin components naturally contained in them not only have antioxidant effects but also have a higher content of resistant starch per unit weight, which is more friendly to blood sugar management. Retaining the skin of potatoes during the processing is a practical technique to enhance nutritional value. The pectin substances rich in the skin can promote the balance of the gut microbiota and help improve seasonal constipation symptoms. Through scientific cooking improvements and dietary combinations, the middle-aged and elderly can not only enjoy the natural flavor of potato-based foods but also effectively control metabolic risks. Instead of completely abstaining from such ingredients, it is better to control the single-time intake within 150 grams about the size of a fist and give priority to boiling or steaming methods to achieve a win-win situation between taste enjoyment and health management. Through a series of analyses, it can be seen that the suitability of ingredients for the elderly needs to be comprehensively judged in combination with individual health conditions. Some nutrients that are beneficial to the general population may become health hazards for specific patients with chronic diseases. The core of customized dietary plans is not to completely deny a certain type of ingredient but to achieve risk control through innovation in processing methods and adjustment of eating strategies. Whether it is accurately calculating the intake, improving thermal processing methods, or constructing a scientific dietary matrix, subtle adjustments may bring significant physiological benefits. It is especially reminded that the elderly with underlying diseases such as abnormal glucose metabolism such as insulin resistance, renal dysfunction, or uric acid metabolism disorders must develop a personalized dietary plan under the guidance of a clinical dietitian. Have you noticed that certain vegetables have a special impact on your physiological indicators in your daily diet? Welcome to share your dietary management experience in the interactive area. For more age-appropriate nutrition management plans and scientific meal matching guidelines, please click to follow and subscribe to our health column. Risks in identifying mushrooms. Wild mushroom species and highly toxic variants such as Amanita have morphological similarities of varieties containing ammonite and can lead to extensive necrosis of liver cells due to the decline in the activity of detoxifying enzymes in the elderly population. The metabolic clearance rate of or L9 is 40-60 lower than that in the young population. Necessity of processing. Commercially cultivated varieties such as Agricus bisporus still contain trace amounts of hydrogen-like precursor substances such as agarine and E, which need to be degraded by wet heat treatment above 100 C for 15 minutes. It is recommended to use quick stir-frying over high heat or steaming over water to avoid the loss of water-soluble nutrients caused by long-term soaking. Drug metabolism interactions. The urgent high amine component contained may enhance the bioavalanche of anticoagulant drugs such as warfarin. It is recommended to keep an interval of 4 hours between intakes. Combining with hypoglycemic drugs may trigger a synergistic hypoglycemic reaction, and post-meal blood sugar fluctuations need to be monitored. Safe intake strategies. 1. Source control. Only purchase industrially cultivated varieties with SC certification and eliminate wild collection behaviors. 2. Per treatment specifications after rinsing with running clean water. Blanch in boiling water for no less than 10 minutes. 3. Compatibility to booze. Avoid eating with alcoholic beverages to prevent the inhibition of acetylity dehydration's activity. Preventive dietary suggestions. It is recommended that the intake frequency per week is 3 times, and the single-time consumption amount is controlled within 150 g fresh weight. Give priority to low-risk varieties such as portobello mushrooms and king oyster mushrooms, and establish a mushroom consumption file for recording. Add ingredients rich in cysteine such as onions and eggs during cooking to assist in toxin neutralization.